my child has been asked to stop speaking in Rumnus. If there's anyone here that isn't part of the community, Rumnus um, is a language, a dialect that Romani Gypsies may speak to each other. So my child has been asked to stop speaking Rumnus to other Gypsy children in the school. Is this discrimination?
Possibly. It may well be. The problem is it's would probably count. See, this is where I get very legal on you. It would probably be what is a provision, criteria, or policy, which would mean that it probably fell within something called indirect discrimination, which is literally that. It's a policy that has an impact on people with a protected characteristic more than other people. So the example that the historical one was, you had to be a certain height to be a police officer back in the day, and that actually prevented sort of women and people from certain sort of backgrounds from getting into the police force. But that was technically a policy that affected everyone, but the practical impact was it had an impact on people with certain protected characteristics more. So yes, it could be discrimination from that perspective. However, there is a however, that an indirect discrimination can be justified by I'm just saying employer there, because I talk about this not in employment context, but by a school too. So I can see a situation where there could be concerns around people speaking, and I'll widen it out, any language that isn't understood because of safeguarding or bullying or things like that. But you see, it gets a bit difficult. That might justify a ban. I think there would have to have been some kind of issues with it. You can't just blanket say no one can speak. I mean, most of the playgrounds in most of the country now that you go into would probably have quite a variety of different languages being spoken, or people from different. So I think I can see situations where the concerns can have arisen, or there could be good safeguarding reasons why that might be the case. Just to have a blanket ban is going to be problematic if you haven't got any basis to back it up with. So yes, it is discrimination, but you have to bear it in mind that maybe that is discrimination that can be justified if there has been a reason, or if there is a particular concern, but particularly if it relates to things like, you're going to use safeguarding a lot, but it tends to override most stuff in relation to children. If there is a safeguarding concern, that becomes a priority versus everything else. I can see some situations where that might arise. So you'd want to know in that particular situation a lot more about it. And again, I would suggest going in and speaking either to the class teacher or the head teacher to find out what's gone on and what's the thinking behind it, because it could equally be a member of staff handling a situation very badly, and that actually isn't the policy of the school at all, and they'd be quite horrified by it. But I'm always aware when I say go in and talk, that's a very easy thing for me to say sitting here, and a harder thing for a parent to do. But I think it would be a sensible thing to do in that situation, so that you can find out a bit more about the circumstances around what has happened and why. And if there is something, then everyone can talk about it. And you might be able to say, that there should be certain times when languages can be spoken at break time or whatever, but